Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are once again at the center of global attention. But this time the spotlight isn't about game day appearances or red carpet moments. During the NFL offseason, the couple has been quietly spending time in Europe, a move that sources say is far more strategic than a simple luxury getaway. According to people close to the situation, Kelce is using the offseason to reflect seriously on his future beyond football. While there has been no official announcement regarding retirement, the Kansas City Chiefs star is reportedly beginning to plan for life after the NFL. The European trip, insiders say, is part of that preparation, combining rest, perspective, and long-term planning. Behind the scenes, Kelce and Swift have allegedly been holding private discussions with business advisors and investment consultants. The focus of these conversations is believed to be large-scale investments, particularly in high-value European properties with historical and cultural significance. Rather than short-term gains, the couple is said to be exploring assets that offer longevity, identity, and narrative value. Taylor Swift's role in these plans appears to be significant. Known for her sharp business instincts and long-term vision, Swift is reportedly deeply involved in evaluating opportunities and weighing risks. Those familiar with her approach say she prioritizes sustainability and storytelling as much as financial return, an outlook that is said to be influencing Kelce as he broadens his perspective beyond professional sports. For Kelce, the offseason represents a rare pause in an otherwise relentless career. While his physical condition remains strong, sources claim he has become increasingly realistic about the demands of the league and the importance of choosing when and how to step away. Rather than being forced into retirement by injury or decline, Kelce is believed to want control over his transition, ensuring his next chapter is built on purpose rather than reaction. The trip also signals a shift in how the couple's relationship is evolving. Previously defined by high-profile appearances and viral moments, Kelce and Swift now appear to be entering a more grounded and strategic phase. Their time in Europe has reportedly included long, private conversations about long-term goals, lifestyle choices, and what they want the next decade of their lives to look like. Observers note the contrast between Kelce's current world, packed stadiums, intense competition, constant media scrutiny, and the quieter, more deliberate environment of Europe, where many of these discussions are said to be taking place. The change in setting is seen as symbolic, reflecting a broader transition from performance-driven decisions to legacy-focused thinking. Toward the end of the trip, sources suggest the couple reached a clearer alignment on future priorities. While no public statements have been made, those close to them believe several key decisions are beginning to take shape. Decisions that could eventually impact Kelce's football career, his business ventures, and the couple's shared life moving forward. For now, Travis Kelce remains an active NFL star, and Taylor Swift continues to dominate the global music industry. But this off-season journey hints at something deeper, a calculated step toward the next phase of life. What appears on the surface as a European escape may, in reality, be the foundation for a long-term vision, one that extends far beyond stadium lights and world tours, and into a future they are deliberately building together. That future, according to insiders, is being shaped with unusual care and patience. People close to the couple describe the European trip as a rare window where both Kelce and Swift were able to step away from their usual pressure-filled environments. For Kelce, it meant distance from the constant physical toll of the NFL and the weekly cycle of preparation, performance, and recovery. For Swift, it offered a pause from the massive machinery of a global music empire that rarely slows down. Together, that space allowed for deeper conversations that typically get postponed by demanding schedules. Sources say Kelce has become increasingly aware of how narrow the margin is for professional athletes once their playing days end. Despite his success, endorsements, and popularity, he is reportedly determined not to let his identity be defined solely by football. This mindset is what makes the European investment discussions particularly significant. Rather than chasing flashy or speculative ventures, Kelce is said to be focused on building stability, projects that can grow quietly over time while aligning with his personal interests and values. Swift's influence in this phase cannot be overstated. Having navigated career reinvention multiple times, she is believed to be offering more than advice. She is offering a framework. Insiders describe her approach as methodical, asking questions about long-term relevance, emotional attachment to projects, and how each decision fits into a broader life narrative. This way of thinking reportedly resonates with Kelce, who is now applying the same discipline he once reserved for football preparation to his future beyond the field. The couple's interest in Europe is also seen as strategic from a lifestyle perspective. Several people familiar with the matter suggest that Kelce and Swift value the relative privacy and slower pace that certain European locations can offer compared to the United States. While neither has indicated plans to relocate permanently, the idea of having a base outside America is said to be appealing, particularly as their combined fame continues to attract intense media attention. At the same time, Kelce's NFL career remains an open question. Team officials and fans alike continue to speculate about how many seasons he has left, but those close to him insist there is no immediate plan to step away. What has changed, however, is the tone of the conversation. Retirement is no longer a distant, abstract idea. It is now part of active planning. Kelce is said to be evaluating timelines, health considerations, and post-career opportunities with a level of seriousness he had not previously applied. This calculated approach reflects a broader shift in how modern athletes think about legacy. Rather than viewing retirement as an ending, Kelce appears to be treating it as a transition point, one that should be entered with clarity and preparation. Observers note that this mirrors the way Swift has managed her own career, constantly evolving while maintaining control over her narrative and assets. Their relationship, once framed largely through viral moments and pop culture spectacle, now appears to be operating on a deeper level. Friends of the couple describe a partnership built on mutual respect for each other's ambitions. Instead of competing for attention or allowing their careers to clash, Kelce and Swift are reportedly learning how to synchronize their long-term goals, even when their short-term schedules pull them in different directions. As the offseason progresses, industry insiders are watching closely. Any future announcements, whether related to investments, business ventures, or Kelce's football career, are likely to be scrutinized for clues about what was set in motion during this European trip. For now, both Kelce and Swift remain publicly focused on their respective careers, offering little insight into what decisions may already be quietly finalized. What is clear, however, is that this offseason marks a turning point. The conversations happening now are not about headlines or public perception, but about durability, how to build a life that can withstand change, aging, and shifting priorities. In that sense, the European journey represents more than a chapter in their relationship. It represents a blueprint for what comes next. For Travis Kelce, the offseason is no longer just a break from football. It is an opportunity to redefine himself. For Taylor Swift, it is another example of how she extends her influence beyond music, shaping not only her own future, but the future of those closest to her. Together, they appear to be moving deliberately toward a shared vision, one grounded in foresight rather than impulse. While fans and analysts continue to speculate, those closest to the couple suggest patience. The impact of this offseason will not be immediate or obvious. Instead, it will unfold gradually through carefully chosen moves and understated decisions. And when those choices eventually come into public view, they may trace back to quiet conversations, late nights, and strategic planning sessions that took place far from the stadium lights, somewhere in Europe where the next chapter quietly began. That quiet beginning, sources say, is exactly how both Kelce and Swift wanted it. No press releases, no staged appearances, just distance from noise while the biggest questions were being asked honestly. What does success look like when the crowd fades? What kind of life remains when schedules loosen and the urgency of constant performance disappears? These are not questions most public figures answer early, but this offseason they reportedly did. Several people familiar with the trip describe a noticeable shift in Kelce's mindset. While he remains competitive and fully committed to football, there is a growing emphasis on longevity rather than intensity. Training sessions are reportedly more targeted, recovery more intentional. The goal is not just to extend his NFL career, but to ensure he exits it healthy, clear-minded, and positioned for what comes next. The European trip is said to have reinforced that clarity, offering perspective that is difficult to gain amid the grind of the season. Business discussions reportedly extended beyond real estate alone. While property investments were central, conversations also touched on brand strategy, long-term partnerships, and media ventures. Kelce has already built a strong public persona outside football, and insiders believe this offseason is about structuring that presence into something sustainable. Not louder, not bigger, but smarter. Swift's experience navigating brand ownership, intellectual property, and audience loyalty is believed to be especially influential in these talks. Those close to Swift note that she approaches these decisions with an almost editorial mindset. Each move must make sense within the broader story of a life, not just a quarter or a fiscal year. This perspective, they say, has encouraged Kelce to think beyond traditional athlete pathways. Instead of defaulting to predictable post-retirement options, he is reportedly exploring opportunities that align with his personality, curiosity, and long-term interests. The couple's time in Europe also highlighted the importance of environment. Away from the hypervisibility of American celebrity culture, they were able to observe how wealth, legacy, and influence are expressed differently. In several locations, privacy is not a luxury but an expectation. That contrast is said to have resonated deeply, especially as both Kelce and Swift consider how to protect their personal lives while remaining globally relevant. Despite intense speculation, there has been no indication that Kelce plans to step away from football immediately. Team sources maintain that he remains fully engaged and focused heading into the next phase of his career. However, the difference now is intentionality. Retirement is no longer an abrupt ending, it is a controlled landing. And everything being discussed this offseason appears to be part of that preparation. Industry observers note that this type of planning is becoming more common among elite athletes, but rarely with this level of discretion. Kelce's approach stands out precisely because it lacks urgency and spectacle. There is no rush to announce, no need to reassure the public. The confidence appears internal, rooted in the knowledge that options are being built quietly and deliberately. Swift, for her part, continues to maintain momentum in her own career, balancing creative output with strategic expansion. Yet those close to her suggest that this period has been uniquely reflective. Rather than pushing forward relentlessly, she is reportedly being more selective, more protective of her time and energy. That shift aligns with the broader tone of the offseason: refinement over acceleration. As summer approaches, attention will inevitably return to stadiums, tours, and public schedules. But insiders suggest the most important work of this year has already been done, out of view. The plans discussed in Europe may not surface immediately, but their influence will be visible in subtle ways. The projects Kelce chooses, the partnerships he declines, the pace at which both he and Swift move forward. What makes this moment particularly compelling is its restraint. In an era where every development is monetized and broadcast instantly, Kelce and Swift appear to be resisting that impulse. Instead, they are allowing their decisions to mature privately before entering public view. That patience, observers say, may be the clearest indicator of how seriously they are taking this transition. Ultimately, this offseason is less about escape and more about alignment. Careers, values, timelines, all being quietly synchronized. Whether Kelce plays several more seasons or begins winding down sooner than expected, the foundation is already in place. And for Swift, the process reflects a familiar pattern: growth through intention, not reaction. As the NFL calendar resumes and the global spotlight intensifies once again, the European trip will likely fade into the background of headlines. But its impact may be lasting. For those watching closely, this was not a pause, it was a pivot. A carefully chosen moment where two of the world's most visible figures stepped away long enough to decide how they want the next chapter to unfold. And when that chapter finally becomes visible to the public, it may seem sudden. But in reality, it will have begun quietly, deliberately, during an off-season spent not chasing attention, but shaping the future. That future-oriented mindset is now becoming the defining theme around Travis Kelce this offseason. League insiders say the conversations he's having today are fundamentally different from those of previous years. Instead of asking how long he can keep playing, Kelce is reportedly asking how he wants to live when he no longer has to. That shift alone has changed the way people close to him interpret every move, every trip, and every quiet decision made away from the cameras. Sources describe Kelce as increasingly aware of the rare position he occupies. Few athletes leave the NFL with both financial freedom and cultural relevance intact. Even fewer manage to translate that relevance into something enduring. This reality is said to be driving his cautious approach. Rather than leaning on quick endorsements or short-term ventures, Kelce appears focused on building a diversified foundation, one that will remain stable regardless of how or when his football career eventually concludes. The European discussions reportedly emphasized patience. Advisors encouraged long timelines, conservative projections, and minimal exposure. This philosophy aligns closely with Swift's own long-term strategies, which have prioritized ownership, control, and narrative consistency over rapid expansion. Observers note that the overlap in their thinking has only strengthened their partnership, turning shared time into productive alignment rather than distraction. Privacy has also become a central consideration. With both figures commanding enormous global attention, the challenge is no longer access but insulation. Europe, according to people familiar with their travels, offered a glimpse into what a more protected lifestyle could look like. Not hidden but buffered, present but not constantly consumed. That balance is said to be increasingly important as they contemplate future milestones, both personal and professional. Despite widespread speculation, there has been no visible tension between Kelce's present commitments and his future planning. Team personnel describe him as engaged, focused, and physically prepared. The difference lies in his perspective. Football remains central, but it is no longer singular. It is part of a larger structure, not the entirety of it. That recalibration, insiders say, has actually brought a sense of calm rather than uncertainty. For Swift, the offseason represents a parallel moment of recalibration. While her career continues at a global scale, those close to her suggest she is applying sharper filters to new opportunities. The emphasis is on sustainability, choosing projects that align with her values and preserve creative autonomy. That discipline mirrors the approach Kelce is now adopting, further reinforcing the sense that they are moving in step rather than in parallel. As speculation grows, analysts caution against expecting immediate announcements. If there is one consistent theme emerging from this offseason, it is restraint. The absence of public declarations is intentional. Decisions are being pressure-tested privately before being exposed publicly. This methodical pace contrasts sharply with the instant gratification culture surrounding modern celebrity, making their approach stand out even more. What remains clear is that this period will likely be referenced in hindsight as a turning point. The off-season where conversations shifted from maintenance to legacy, from continuation to construction. Whether the outcomes emerge through business ventures, lifestyle changes, or eventual career transitions, the groundwork is being laid with unusual precision. In the broader context of sports and entertainment, this moment reflects a larger trend: the convergence of influence, capital, and long-term planning among top-tier figures. Kelce and Swift are not reacting to circumstances, they are anticipating them. And that anticipation is what makes this off-season particularly significant. As the season approaches and public attention inevitably intensifies, the focus will return to performances, results, and headlines. But beneath that surface activity, the impact of these quieter months will persist. The decisions shaped in Europe will continue to guide priorities, boundaries, and ambitions long after the off-season ends. For now, there is no definitive endpoint to this story, only momentum. A carefully managed progression toward a future that is being designed rather than discovered. And while the public may only see fragments, those closest to the situation believe the direction is already set. This off-season, then, is not a footnote. It is context, a reminder that the most consequential moves are often made away from the spotlight during moments of intentional pause. For Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, that pause appears to have been used not for escape but for architecture. That architecture continues to take shape in ways that are subtle but telling. People close to Kelce say he has begun asking different kinds of questions in meetings, questions less about immediate returns and more about resilience. How does this hold up in 10 years? What happens if attention fades? Who controls the outcome when circumstances change? These are not typical off-season concerns for an active NFL player, yet they now appear central to his thinking. The timing is significant. Kelce is still performing at a high level, still relevant, still in demand. That leverage gives him freedom. Freedom to choose, to wait, to say no. Insiders suggest he understands that this window will not stay open forever, which is precisely why planning is happening now, not later. The European trip reportedly reinforced that sense of urgency without panic. Move early, move quietly, move with intention. In several cities, the couple was said to observe how legacy is preserved across generations. Old buildings repurposed without losing identity. Family-owned enterprises that outlast trends. Cultural institutions that evolve without erasing their origins. These observations, while informal, are believed to have influenced how Kelce and Swift frame their own future. Less as a sprint, more as stewardship. From a business perspective, this mindset represents a departure from the high-velocity model often associated with celebrity ventures. Instead of flooding the market with new projects, the emphasis appears to be on selectivity. Fewer moves, higher conviction. Sources familiar with the discussion say this philosophy was shared across multiple conversations, reinforcing a shared language between Kelce and Swift about what success actually means. At the same time, neither has disengaged from their current roles. Kelce's preparation for the upcoming season continues with discipline, and Swift's creative output remains globally dominant. The key difference is psychological. Both are operating with an awareness that their present success is a platform, not a destination. That distinction shapes how decisions are weighed and which opportunities are allowed through. Observers note that this approach may also explain the couple's reduced public visibility during the trip. There were no orchestrated moments, no curated reveals. Instead, sightings were sporadic, understated. This was not about controlling the narrative. It was about stepping outside of it long enough to make decisions that would later define it. As the off-season progresses, speculation will continue to fill the silence. Fans will look for signals. Analysts will read into absences and appearances. But those close to the situation caution against overinterpretation. The absence of information does not indicate indecision. On the contrary, it suggests confidence. Confidence that not everything needs to be shared before it is ready. What stands out most, according to people familiar with both Kelce and Swift, is the level of alignment. This is not a scenario where one partner is adapting to the other's trajectory. Instead, there appears to be a convergence, a meeting point where ambitions, timelines, and values overlap. That convergence, they say, is what makes this off-season different from any previous one. In many ways, the European journey functions as a boundary between phases. Before it, careers driven by momentum, schedules dictated by demand. After it, careers guided by design, choices shaped by long-term vision. The transition is not dramatic, but it is deliberate. And for individuals accustomed to operating at the highest levels of pressure, that deliberateness is itself a statement. As training camps approach and global tours resume, the rhythm of public life will return. Interviews, performances, and competition will once again dominate headlines. Yet those who understand the significance of this off-season believe its influence will be felt quietly. In the decisions that don't get made, the projects that never surface, the boundaries that suddenly appear where none existed before. In hindsight, this period may come to be seen as a recalibration rather than a turning point. Not a break from the past, but a refinement of it. A moment when two highly visible figures chose to slow down just enough to ensure that what they are building can last beyond relevance, beyond performance, beyond applause. For now, the story remains unfinished. No announcements, no confirmations, only a growing sense that something fundamental has shifted beneath the surface. And when that shift eventually becomes visible, it will not feel abrupt to those paying close attention. It will feel inevitable, rooted in conversations held far from crowds, during an off-season spent not chasing the next moment, but constructing the next decade. That decade-focused thinking is now quietly reshaping how those around Kelce interpret his choices. Teammates, according to league sources, have noticed a subtle change in how he talks about the future. Not with anxiety, but with structure. The language has shifted from hypotheticals to frameworks, from if to when football ends, when priorities change, when a different rhythm of life takes over. None of this suggests an imminent exit, but it does point to a man who no longer sees his career as an open-ended loop. Executives familiar with athlete transitions note that this stage is often the most decisive. Planning while relevance is still intact allows for leverage that rarely exists later. Kelce's off-season activity fits that pattern precisely. He is not reacting to decline, he is preempting it. The European discussions, described as calm and methodical, were reportedly about preserving optionality, ensuring that no single outcome defines the rest of his life. Taylor Swift's presence in this process continues to draw attention, not because of spectacle, but because of consistency. Those who have worked closely with her over the years describe a similar phase in her own career, when she began to prioritize ownership, longevity, and autonomy over scale alone. That experience, insiders say, has become a reference point in many of the conversations happening now. Not as instruction, but as proof that reinvention can be planned without sacrificing momentum. The pair's shared visibility adds another layer of complexity. Individually, both Kelce and Swift operate under intense public scrutiny. Together, that scrutiny multiplies. Managing it requires intention. Several sources suggest that part of the European trip was devoted to exploring how much of their future needs to be public, and how much should remain protected. This balance, they believe, will define not just their personal lives, but the sustainability of their professional ones. From a strategic standpoint, the investments under consideration reflect that philosophy. Assets that do not demand constant visibility. Ventures that grow steadily rather than explosively. Projects that can exist without being tied directly to headlines. This quieter model contrasts sharply with the typical celebrity-driven approach, but it aligns closely with the long-term thinking both are reportedly embracing. As speculation around Kelce's NFL future continues, those close to the organization maintain that his commitment remains strong. Coaches and staff describe him as engaged and motivated, with preparation levels consistent with previous seasons. What has changed is not effort, but perspective. Football is no longer viewed in isolation, it is contextualized within a broader life plan. That broader plan, according to insiders, does not revolve around a single destination. There is no fixed end date, no rigid roadmap. Instead, it is designed to adapt. Flexibility appears to be the guiding principle. Build a foundation strong enough to support multiple outcomes. Leave room for adjustment. Avoid decisions that close doors unnecessarily. For Swift, this approach is familiar territory. Her career has been defined by calculated evolution, often executed quietly before becoming visible. Those who understand her process believe the current period reflects a similar pattern. Work being done beneath the surface, with results that may only become clear much later. The public, meanwhile, continues to engage with fragments of the story. A sighting here, a rumor there, each detail examined for meaning. But insiders caution that the most important developments will not be obvious. They will emerge through absence as much as presence, through what Kelce chooses not to pursue, and what Swift declines to attach her name to. As summer advances, the narrative will inevitably shift back to performance metrics and public milestones. Yet the significance of this offseason lies precisely in its invisibility. The decisions shaping the next phase are being made away from microphones and timelines, in environments that allow for honesty without pressure. In the end, this period may be remembered not for where Kelce and Swift went, but for what they clarified. Priorities, boundaries, direction. The European trip was not an escape from reality. It was an engagement with it, stripped of noise. Whether the outcomes surface through new ventures, lifestyle changes, or a carefully timed transition from professional sports, the through line remains the same: intention over impulse, control over reaction, design over drift. For now, the story continues without punctuation. No headlines to conclude it, no declarations to define it, just momentum quietly building. And when the next chapter finally reveals itself, it will not feel sudden. It will feel earned, rooted in an off-season where two global figures chose to step back just far enough to see the road ahead clearly, and to begin walking it on their own terms.